At 6:47 on a Tuesday morning, my brother posted a photo of his new house with the caption, "Hard work pays off." First-time homeowner at 35. God is good. 14 seconds later, my mother commented, "I always knew you'd make us proud, Marcus." I read it 3 times, sitting in my parked car outside a gas station in Dallas, coffee going cold in my hand, trying to understand how a man who hadn't paid a single bill in 3 years just bought a house with my money. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I picked up my phone and typed one line beneath his post, "Congratulations, but I think you forgot to thank your investor." Before I explain what that means, tell me, where are you listening from right now? Because if you've ever funded someone else's dream while yours collected dust, I need you to know you're not sitting in that car alone. My name is Rachel Delgado. I'm 29 years old, and I work as a staff accountant at a mid-size firm in Dallas, Texas. I'm a single mom. My daughter, Lily, just turned 4. I drive a 12-year-old Civic with a cracked windshield I keep saying I'll fix next month. I buy my groceries with a calculator app open on my phone because I know what it feels like to see a card declined in front of your kid. I'm not poor. I'm drained, and the people who drained me share my last name. It started 3 years ago when my older brother, Marcus, lost his job at a logistics company. "Downsized," he said. "Bad economy," Mom echoed. He moved back home with our mother, Gloria, who was 58 at the time, retired, living off a small pension, and what my father left behind before he passed when I was 19. Dad's life insurance wasn't much, but it kept the lights on. Mom told me Marcus just needed a few months to get back on his feet. A few months. That phrase haunted me the same way temporary haunts people who've been used. Because a few months turned into a few more, then a year, then silence on the topic, as if asking when it would end made me the villain. At first, I helped with groceries. 100 here, 200 there. Then Mom called one evening, her voice low and careful, the way it always got when she needed something she didn't want to say out loud. "Sweetheart, the electric bill is past due." Marcus tried, but his unemployment check hasn't come through yet. So I paid it. Then the water bill. Then Marcus's car insurance because he needed the car to look for work. Then his phone bill because how would he apply for jobs without a phone? Then the internet. Then the cable because Mom said Marcus was depressed and watching TV was the only thing keeping him from falling apart. Layer after layer after layer, each one thin enough to seem reasonable, but together they weighed more than I could carry. I started keeping a spreadsheet, not because I'm an accountant and it's habit, though it is, but because I needed proof that this was real, that I wasn't imagining the slow bleed. Every Zelle transfer, every Venmo payment, every time I handed Mom an envelope of cash and she tucked it into her purse without counting it, without looking me in the eye, I logged it. Date, amount, reason. I labeled the file family support, temporary. That word again. It sat at the top of the spreadsheet like a promise no one intended to keep. By the end of year 1, the total was $19,400. By year 2, it had crossed $41,000. I stopped eating out. I stopped buying Lily new clothes and started shopping consignment. I canceled my gym membership, then my streaming services, then the dental plan I'd been paying out of pocket because my firm only covered basic. I told myself it was fine. I told myself I was being a good daughter, a good sister. I told myself this is what family does. Mom reinforced it constantly. "You're the strong one, Rachel. Marcus is fragile. You know how he gets." I did know. Marcus had always been the favorite, the firstborn son, the one who could do no wrong. When we were kids, if I got an A and he got a C, Mom would say, "Rachel's just naturally smart. Marcus has to try harder. We should support him." Support him became the family motto. My role was carved in stone before I was old enough to question it. What I didn't know, what I wouldn't learn until much later, was that Marcus had been reemployed for 18 months. 18 months of direct deposits hitting an account I didn't know about, while I kept wiring money to Mom's account like clockwork. He'd gotten a job as a warehouse supervisor in Plano, making $52,000 a year. Not extravagant, but more than enough to cover his share. He never told me, and Mom, she knew. She knew the entire time. The Facebook post was how I found out about the house, but the real unraveling started a week before that, on a Sunday afternoon. I was at Mom's place dropping off Lily for a few hours so I could pick up a weekend shift. Marcus was in the living room, feet up, watching football. I noticed something on the kitchen counter, a manila folder partially covered by a dish towel. The edge of a document peeked out and I recognized the logo of a title company. I didn't touch it. Not then, but I took a photo with my phone when no one was looking. That night, after Lily was asleep, I zoomed in on the image. It was a pre-approval letter for a mortgage, in Marcus's name, for a 3-bedroom house in Garland, listed at $220,000. The down payment, $44,000, was marked as gift from family. My hand shook. Not from anger yet. From recognition. $44,000. That number lived in my spreadsheet. I'd sent almost exactly that amount to Mom over the past 3 years, earmarked for bills, groceries, Marcus's expenses. And now it had a new name. Gift from family. I almost called Mom that night. Almost. But something my father once told me stopped me. He'd said it the year before he died, sitting on the back porch with a glass of iced tea, watching the sun go down. Mija, never confront a liar with emotion. Confront them with paper. People can argue with feelings. They can't argue with receipts. So I waited. I gathered. The following Tuesday, after the Facebook post, I began a quiet investigation. I pulled my bank records going back 36 months. I organized every text message from Mom and Marcus asking for money. I screenshotted the family group chat where Marcus once joked, "Rachel's our little ATM, somebody give that girl a receipt." Mom replied with 3 laughing emojis. My cousin Luis hearted it. Nobody defended me. Nobody said it was wrong. I saved that too. Then I checked my credit report, and there it was, a hard inquiry from 16 months ago, tied to a credit card I never applied for. The address listed was Mom's house. The authorized user was Marcus Delgado. I sat at my kitchen table staring at the screen while Lily slept 10 feet away, and I felt something shift inside me. Not break. Shift. Like a bone setting itself after being out of place for years. It hurt, but it was the right kind of pain. I called my grandmother that night. Abuela Rosa, 83 years old, sharper than anyone in the family gave her credit for. She lived alone in a small house in San Antonio, independent as a cat, tough as boot leather. When she picked up, I skipped the pleasantries. "Abuela, did you know Marcus has been working this whole time?" Silence. Then a slow exhale. I suspected. "Your mother stopped asking me for money about 1.5 years ago. I wondered why." "He bought a house," I said, "with the money I've been sending Mom." Another pause. "Then it's time to stop being the bank, Mija. Banks charge interest." She wasn't angry. She was precise. And that precision gave me a framework. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to beg for acknowledgement. I needed a plan. Over the next 2 weeks, I built my case. I printed every bank statement. I compiled the spreadsheet into a clean, color-coded document organized by category, mortgage support, utilities, groceries, car expenses, direct cash transfers. The total, verified to the penny, was $86,412. I printed the credit report showing the unauthorized inquiry. I saved the screenshots of the group chat. I downloaded the text messages where Mom explicitly asked me for money while knowing Marcus was employed. And I requested a copy of Marcus's mortgage application through a public record search, which confirmed the $44,000 gift from family that matched my payments almost exactly. I put everything into a folder. On the front, I wrote one word: recips. The housewarming party was set for a Saturday in late October. Mom had been planning it for weeks, calling relatives, ordering decorations, acting like Marcus had built the house with his bare hands. She even created a Facebook event titled "Celebrating Marcus, a Dream Come True." The cover photo was the house, front door open, sunlight pouring in. Below it, Mom had written, "When you raise a son with values, he builds something beautiful. So proud." I wasn't invited at first. When I asked Mom about it, she hesitated. "It's mostly Marcus's friends and coworkers. You wouldn't know anyone." Translation, they didn't want me there asking questions. but I told her I'd bring a gift, and suddenly the invitation appeared. "Of course you should come, sweetheart. Your family." Family. That word had a different weight now. It used to feel like a warm blanket. Now it felt like an invoice. The day of the party, I dropped Lily off at a friend's house. I dressed simply, black blouse, dark jeans, flats. No drama in my outfit. The drama was in my bag. When I pulled up to the house, I sat in my car for a full minute, engine off, staring at the front porch. It was a nice house. Clean brick, new landscaping, a wreath on the door. The kind of house I'd imagined for Lily and me. The kind of house I could have afforded if I hadn't been subsidizing someone else's life for 3 years. Inside, the living room buzzed with music and conversation. Streamers hung from the ceiling. A banner stretched across the dining room wall that read, "Welcome home, Marcus." A slideshow played on a TV mounted in the corner. Photos of Marcus growing up, graduating high school, standing in front of various apartments. The narrative was clear. Struggle, perseverance, triumph. Nowhere in the slideshow was there a photo of me. Mom was in the kitchen, queen of the gathering, laughing and directing relatives. Marcus stood by the grill in the backyard, beer in hand, accepting congratulations like a man who'd earned every square foot. Uncles shook his hand. Aunts kissed his cheek. "You did it, man." The Delgado name means something now. I helped set up folding chairs. I filled ice buckets. I smiled at people who didn't know my name, and I waited. The toast came around 7:30. Mom clinked a glass and gathered everyone into the living room. She stood beside Marcus, one arm around him, beaming. "I want to say something about my son," she began, and the room quieted. 3 years ago, Marcus went through the hardest chapter of his life. He lost his job. He lost his confidence. But he never lost his faith, and he never stopped working toward this moment. I stood near the back of the room, arms folded, pulse steady. "This house," Mom continued, "is proof that when you believe in someone, they rise. Marcus, you built this with your own hands, your own heart, your own sacrifice. I'm so proud to call you my son." Applause. Whistles. Marcus wiped his eyes and took the microphone. "I couldn't have done this without family," he said, scanning the room. His eyes passed over me like I was furniture. "Mom, you believed in me when nobody else did. This house is as much yours as it is mine." More applause. Someone shouted, "Speech," and Marcus laughed, confident, golden, untouchable. That's when I stepped forward. "Can I say something?" The room shifted. Mom's smile froze. Marcus tilted his head like he wasn't sure he'd heard me right. A few relatives turned, curious. I walked to the front slowly. My shoes didn't click on marble like in a movie. They scuffed on laminate flooring that I knew cost about $3.50 per square foot because I priced it once for my own apartment. I reached Marcus and extended my hand. He looked confused, but shook it. Then I turned to face the room. "Marcus is right," I said. "He couldn't have done this without family. So I want to make sure the right family gets thanked." I reached into my bag and pulled out a stack of papers. Bound, color-coded, tabbed. I set it on the coffee table in front of the TV. "This," I said, "is a complete record of every dollar I sent to this family over the past 3 years." I looked at Mom. Every electric bill, every grocery run, every car payment, every cash transfer you told me Marcus needed because he was too fragile to survive on his own. The room went still, not quiet, still. The kind of stillness where even the air feels like it's holding something back. "The total," I continued, keeping my voice flat, almost bored, like I was reading a quarterly report at work, "is $86,412. Someone whispered. A chair creaked. Mom's hand went to her chest. "Rachel, this is not the time or the place." "You're right, Mom. The time was 18 months ago, when Marcus got his job back and neither of you told me. The place was our family group chat where he called me the family ATM and you laughed." I held up my phone, screenshot glowing on the screen. Marcus's joke, Mom's emojis, the silence of everyone else. Marcus stepped forward, jaw tight. "That was a joke, Rachel. You're taking it out of context." "Context," I repeated. "Let's talk about context." I pulled another sheet from the folder. "This is a copy of your mortgage application. Under down payment source, it says gift from family, $44,000. That's almost exactly what I sent Mom over the past 3 years. Want to explain where that gift came from?" His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Mom tried. "Families help each other. That's what we do. Your father would have wanted, don't." My voice cracked for the first time and I let it. "Don't use Dad. Dad told me to keep receipts. He told me people can't argue with paper." And he was right. I pulled the last document from the folder and held it up. "This is my credit report. 16 months ago, someone opened a credit card in my name using Mom's address. The authorized user is Marcus Delgado." Gasps. Real ones this time, not polite ones. Uncle Ray stood up. Aunt Dolores covered her mouth. Luis, my cousin, the one who'd hearted the ATM joke, stared at the floor. Marcus shook his head. "I didn't. That was, Mom said you gave permission." I looked at Mom. She didn't speak. Her lips pressed into a thin line, and for the first time in my life, I saw her without a script. No guilt trip, no redirect, no soft-voiced manipulation, just silence. "I didn't give permission," I said quietly. "I didn't give permission for any of it. Not the credit card. Not the down payment. Not the 3 years of my life I spent paying for a grown man who was collecting a paycheck the entire time." I set the folder on the gift table right next to a wrapped bottle of wine and a card that read, "New Beginnings." And then, from the hallway behind me, a voice I wasn't expecting. "She's telling the truth. Every word." Heads turned. Abuela Rosa stood in the doorway, small and steady, one hand resting on the frame. She hadn't been invited either, but she'd come anyway, driven up from San Antonio by my cousin Adriana, who stood behind her looking half terrified, half proud. Abuela walked into the room the way she did everything, slowly, deliberately, and without apology. She stopped in front of Mom and looked at her for a long time. "Gloria," she said, her voice soft but lined with iron, "I gave you your inheritance early, $60,000 5 years ago so you could live comfortably after David died." She turned to Marcus, "And I watched you take from your sister like she owed you something. You owe her. Both of you do." Mom's eyes filled. "Mama, please, not here." "Here is exactly right," Abuela said, "because you chose here to build your lie. So here is where it ends." She reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. She handed it to me. "This is a letter from my attorney. I've updated my estate plan. Marcus is no longer a beneficiary. The house in San Antonio, the savings account, and the remainder of the family trust will go to Rachel and Lily." The room erupted. Not in shouts, but in murmurs, shifting feet, averted eyes. Marcus dropped his beer. It hit the floor and foamed across the new laminate, pooling around the legs of the coffee table where my folder sat like a monument. "You can't do that," Marcus said, his voice breaking. "I'm your grandson." Abuela looked at him with something that wasn't anger. It was exhaustion. "Being family is not a title, Mijo. It's a pattern. And the pattern I've seen from you is taking from the people who love you most and calling it a blessing." She turned to me, eyes warm. "Your father would be proud of you. He always said you were the one who understood what money really costs." I took the microphone one last time. I looked at Mom. I looked at Marcus. I looked at the banner that said, "Welcome Home," and the slideshow that told a story with me erased from it. "You built this house with my money," I said, "and you didn't even put my name on the welcome mat." I set the mic on the table. "But I'm done paying for a home that was never mine. Consider this my last contribution." I walked toward the door. No one stopped me. No one called my name. The only sound was Abuela's cane, tapping the floor behind me as she followed me out, Adriana, close behind. Outside, the October air was sharp and clean, the kind of cold that wakes you up, not the kind that punishes you. We stood on the sidewalk for a moment, the three of us, and Abuela took my hand. "You feel lighter," she said. It wasn't a question. "I feel broke," I said and laughed. She laughed too. "Broke and free is better than rich and chained, Mija." She was right. 9 days later, a wire transfer appeared in my account, $86,412. No message. No apology, just the numbers, clean and final. I found out later that Mom had taken a second mortgage on her own house and Marcus had pulled from his 401k to cover the rest. Not because they were sorry, because Abuela's attorney had sent them a letter outlining the unauthorized credit card and the fraudulent use of my funds as a gift on the mortgage application. The letter used the word restitution. It also used the word prosecution. They paid within a week. I sat at my kitchen table that morning, laptop open, staring at the deposit confirmation. Lily was eating cereal across from me, humming a song from a cartoon I didn't recognize. Sunlight came through the window and landed on the spreadsheet I printed months ago, the one I'd labeled Family Support Temporary. I picked it up, folded it once, and dropped it in the recycling bin. Then I poured myself a second cup of coffee, the good kind I'd stopped buying 2 years ago, and sat back down across from my daughter. She looked up at me with a milk mustache and said, "Mommy, are we going to Abuela's house this weekend?" "Yeah, baby," I said. "I think we will." I replied to their attorney that afternoon with one sentence. Payment received, no further communication required. Then I closed the laptop and left it closed for the rest of the day. That evening, I drove to Abuela's. She was on her porch, same as always, tea in hand, watching the street like she was supervising the neighborhood. I sat beside her and we didn't speak for a long time. The quiet wasn't awkward. It was full. The kind of silence that only exists between people who don't need to perform for each other. "They'll call eventually," she said. "I know. You don't have to answer. I know that too." She sipped her tea. "Forgiveness is a door, Rachel. You get to decide when to open it, and you get to decide how far." I leaned back in the chair and watched the sky turn pink and gold over the rooftops. Lily was inside, playing with Abuela's cat. I could hear her laughing through the screen door. 3 years of payments, $86,412, a stolen credit line, a forged gift letter, a family that called me their ATM and meant it as a compliment. They changed the narrative. They built a house on my back and hung a banner with his name on it. But here's the thing about being the one who keeps the receipts. You always know the real cost, and you always get to decide when the bill comes due. Mom called me the strong one. She was right about that at least, just not in the way she meant. So if you're sitting somewhere right now, phone in your hand, wondering if it makes you a bad person to stop giving to people who never say thank you, hear me. It doesn't. You're not selfish for wanting what you earned. You're not cruel for setting a boundary, and you're not alone. Hit subscribe. Drop your story below, because somewhere out there, someone else is staring at a spreadsheet with a word at the top that stopped meaning anything a long time ago. Temporary. It was never temporary, but you can be the one who ends it.